Hello and welcome to the Petticoated Swashbuckler. My name is Maren and today we are making a hoop skirt of sorts. So I'm currently making an outfit for a lady at the court of Henry VIII. Anne Boleyn perhaps, or one of her contemporaries. I have made a white wool kirtle. I have made this beautiful red velvet gown. I have made these 4 sleeves that you can see here and the 4 part that you can kind of get a glimpse of behind me. And I made the little white cap on top. I have, however, realized that there's so much work gone into this 4 part, so much embroidery. And you only see a little bit of it because it's covered by these big skirts. Now, for people in the Tudor era, if they had something that was expensive and pretty, they would want to show it. So what you start to see kind of coming in towards the middle of the 1500s is what we call a farthingale. Now, I've had some trouble finding out where the farthingale came from. I was always told that it came with Catherine of Aragon, who of course came from Spain. That's where Aragon is. Her birth name was Catalina. She was the daughter of Ferdinand and Isabella, the big, super powerful Spanish monarchs. And she married Henry when she was quite young. She was first married to his older brother, and then the older brother died, and then Henry VII, Henry VIII's dad, and Ferdinand and Isabella fought for like many years about what's Catherine supposed to do? Do we want to keep her? Do we want to send her back to Spain? Henry VII was very sure that he wanted to keep her dowry, but he wasn't very sure that he wanted to keep the girl. And when Queen Isabella died, it was a lot of, suddenly... So Spain in the 1500s wasn't one big unified country. Ferdinand was king of Aragon, which is a small part of Spain. Isabella was the queen of Castile, which is a bigger part of Spain. And they had kind of reconquered much of Spain from the Muslim leaders who had held, especially in the south of Spain. Only in Granada, in the south of Spain, did the Muslims kind of stay still in the 1500s. So they were very powerful, but when Queen Isabella died, suddenly Catherine was not the heiress of, or like the daughter of powerful monarchs of a big Spain. She was the daughter of one guy who owned a bit of Spain, and like the sister of the gal who like governed the rest of Spain. So she her value kind of fell on the marriage market. It's very cynical. After a lot of back and forth, Henry VII died. Henry VIII and Catherine decided to get married anyway. But by that point, she'd already lived in England in many years. And some of those years in like relative poverty for a royal. She had to, like, everything's relative, but she's, compared to other royals, she lived a very kind of simple, almost like poverty sort of life for many years. But yeah, so I was told that she's the one who brought the farthingale to England. And the farthingale is basically it looks like this. And if you've done any sort of mid-19th century Civil War, Dickens type reenactment, you'll recognise this. It's a hoop skirt. It's basically what the hoop skirt is. The shape is a little different. It's more triangular than bell-like. The material in the hoop is not sprung steel, but it's reeds or bent or some sort of wood. And it does the same thing. It basically, lifts the skirts away from your legs and kind of splays the skirts out. Now, we know that there were farthingales in England from the early 1500s. It's a little bit difficult to find out whether these farthingales came with Catherine of Aragon, or if they came with like her entourage, or if they were just like part of this kind of fashion for Spanish things because, ooh, we got a Spanish princess. But it's likely that the two have something to do with each other. Now, trying to find proof that women, that English women were wearing hoop skirts at this kind of 1530s, that's been more tricky. The earliest I found that I'm kind of sure of is from, I think, the early 1540s, and it's a picture of Elizabeth, who was to become Queen Elizabeth I, of course. But part of me feel like, well, maybe you wouldn't want to be depicted wearing it, but it's not an expensive garment. Like, it can be made very cheaply, and it's a lot of impact. And especially, I mean, Catherine of Aragon was queen for 24 years, so that's a long time to kind of affect the fashions at court. So I feel like you wouldn't want to be depicted in it necessarily, because when you're having your portrait painted, you want everyone who sees that portrait to see what a wonderfully English person you are. You know, nothing fancy and foreign for you. But what you wear to your paint, like when you're sitting for a portrait, and what you wear when you're going to a party, I think that's two very different things. The paintings of the period are always full of symbolism, and really you shouldn't trust them. I mean, Queen Elizabeth herself had like one painting of her face that she was happy with, and she instructed every other painter to use that painting as a base for every other painting of her, despite it looking less and less like her the older she got. So it's portraiture, you know. It's not candid camera. So I feel like a noble lady in the 1530s would wear a farthingale if she wanted to kind of be as fashionable as the old queen had been. And besides, I want to make one because I think they look fun. And also, this ensemble is ridiculously heavy. Like, this is becoming a theme for me, I feel. Like, they are always... it's so heavy. This entire... Like, this is really thick velvet, and it's fully lined with linen. Like, it is so heavy. So I feel like having a farthingale would actually help kind of lift the skirts away from my legs and lift the kind of weight of the skirts onto my spine instead of my legs. And I'm planning on dancing quite a lot, so that works for me. So that's the plan. We're going to make a farthingale. I think this is going to be a fairly quick project. We'll see. So this is my fabric. This over here is my waistband. These are the boning channels. I'm going to make this up in a pale blue silk duchess because I had that lying around. I'm going to line it in white linen. And then this over here is going to become like a bum pad to pad it out. And of course I'm going to bone it using reeds. And these are basically the same reeds that I used for my panniers many, many years ago. So I'm excited to see if they still look quite springy. I think they'll be fine. I think what I'm going to start doing is by stitching the skirt panels together and the lining panels together. And I think I'm going to do that by machine because no one's going to ever see those seams, and it's going to save me an inordinate amount of time. And I am getting short on time. So that's my plan. Stitch these together, and then we'll come back and mark out our boning channels. Yes. All right. So I have pieced together this beautiful icy blue silk and the white linen lining. The lining is actually made up of like 3 different kinds of linen. They're a little different in like color and the way that it's woven, but weight wise they're quite similar, so I think it'll be about fine. I've also just kind of gone ahead and quickly just zigzagged the top and the sides, because it's not closed at the back yet, because that's where I'm gonna attach my my boning channels for one thing. But these are going to be the side openings, the 2 of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and like hand stitch these. And then we can start marking out the boning channels.